following program was provided by an independent producer solely responsible for its content. The opinions expressed do not necessarily represent the views of this station, its staff, board of directors, or underwriters.
My name is Jasmine, and I am a recovering drug addict.
My name is Richie Farrell, a.k.a. the Old White Junkie.
And we are your hosts for Exit Team Nashua.
Our mission is to bring recovery into the living room.
Last year, over 72,000 Americans died of an accidental overdose.
That's almost 200 Americans every single day.
We will bring you guests with real-life experiences with addiction and recovery. Welcome to Exit Team Nashua.
Hi, welcome to Exit Team Nashua. My name is Jasmine, and I am your host. As always, Exit Team is happy to be here with you. With COVID, they can't hold us down, hold us back. We're shooting from home. I'd like to thank Jesse and our guest Tina for coming on, and of course, the studio for allowing us to put this together. And I'm always really excited for our shows because I think that we always get something really good out of all of the shows. But everybody is well acquainted with me. But today, y'all are going to learn about my mama. So I'm really excited because my story has brought me to this place where I just have this really large platform and I'm able to help people. And I have this really strong heart and everything that I came from, a lot of my ties come back to my mom. So I'm really, really, really excited about that. Welcome to the show, Jesse and Mom. Mom, who are you?
I'm good, thank you.
What's your name for our viewers?
My name's Tina.
Tina, and are you in recovery?
I am in recovery. I have 5 years and several months.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
That's awesome. It's nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
Do you know the new song with Megan Thee Stallion and Beyonce, which is I'm a savage. I got it from my mama. And then she thinks Tina. And I'm just oh, that's my mom. Okay, we have topics. So Mom, addiction, it doesn't really matter who you are, where you came from, through my experience, through my research, through my studies, through getting out there and meeting people, that addiction affects everyone from all walks of life, and there are some people that think addiction only affects trauma survivors, and there are trauma survivors from different ways of life. And but so I know a little bit about your story and where you came from, but will you just quickly qualify what life was like for you and growing up, and if you think that is a contributing factor of why you turned to alcohol and drugs at such a young age to self-soothe and comfort?
I do think that for me, it was always around me, but I am a trauma survivor. I came from a large family. There was 7 of us kids and my parents, and it was very abusive in every way, shape, and form. And I learned fear was the first emotion that I remember ever learning, which I just discovered in the last few years. And distrust. So I became a runner very, very young, running from my feelings, running from people. And so for me, I believe trauma played a role in mine. And I can't tell you the date I started drinking or using. I truly don't remember. But I know now, at the age of 13, I was a full-blown blackout drinker and just running with it. And life was chaotic from there. So at first it was wonderful. It was my escape. But as I got older, and it took me a long time because it was just instilled in my mind that was the norm for me, and it was normal to be like I was. And I thought, a lot of things I went through life, I thought, like having children, I thought it was wonderful, and I was this wonderful parent, and it didn't hit me till I got clean and sober this time, just how non-present I was. So
Tina, did you have other attempts at sobriety?
I did have other attempts. I had several times. I had some years in there, a year here, 2 years there. I had gone the church route, which I'm not putting down church, but it just wasn't enough for me. I had to deal with I had some outside help this time too, because I had to deal with some stuff also. So that helped me along this time. And I'm sorry, I'm very nervous.
You're doing great, and you look so beautiful. You look so beautiful. I love it.
Thanks. I hate being on
is this your
camera.
first time on the show?
I was on before for mothers, for the mothers of active children. So I got to speak on that. But this is my first time on here about me. So
you were alcoholically drinking by the age of 13. Did you stop going to school?
Actually, I was expelled from school. I finished 8th grade. I was expelled from school in 9th grade, and I tried to go back the next year and was expelled again. And like I said, I had learned to distrust really young, and I didn't trust teachers, principals. I didn't trust anyone, so I didn't care that I was expelled. And then at 16, I had met a man, and I was doing heavy drugs also, and got married, had a daughter, and I will admit,
at 16, you got married?
Well, we met, and shortly after that, I did get married. Before I was 18, so 17, and I had my daughter at 16, almost 17. Gosh, I don't know, but it just went on from there. I was very a victim. I grew up learning to be a victim, or I was a victim, and I stayed in that mindset. And alcohol and drugs gave me the freedom away from that for a long time. So, yeah.
So what I hear, and correct me as if I'm wrong, like growing up, like you were put in these like unfortunate circumstances that you had no control going over, but like that you stayed trapped in that like mentality. And like, so I'll just speak like for myself, like going through things that I went through as a child, like I had my power taken away, but I never empowered myself to like take my power back,
Right.
And so,
yeah.
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
I wouldn't have known how to take my power away. I grew up with not to throw the whole God thing in, but I grew up with a punishing God, and you did what you were told, and that was it. And I didn't know how to take my power back. And when I had cried out for help, back in those days, or even I'm sure today, they just sent you home. So, anyways.
Okay. So you had a couple of attempts at sobriety in the past. Like, what happened in your life to make you like think like, because if you grew up in an alcohol and drug induced environment, and those are the people you surrounded yourself with, and if you had no awareness that there was like a different kind of life, like what happened in your life that made you want to seek doing something different or trying something different?
To seek stop drinking and drugging.
Yeah.
I became miserable. Things started to hit me that I realized I was doing wrong. I was letting my family watch my children, and in my mind, I knew it just really started playing on me. And that went on for years, and the guilt just, I don't know, guilt, shame, and remorse just started taking over. I started as an alcoholic and a drug addict, but when I ended this time, I was a daily heroin user, and I used with my children. So it was eating me. I won't say that I stopped using because I wanted to. I just figured I was going to continue using, but I had I was on I forget what you call it, but I was on medicine to make me feel good and be able to do things each day.
Methadone.
Yeah, I was on methadone, and I flunked a urine test, and my life came crumbling down. And when I first came in recovery, I was awful. I had a horrible mouth. I didn't shut up at meetings. I let them know I didn't want to be there and I didn't like them. But anyways, I kept coming and things started to turn around and they kept loving me when I hated myself. The guilt and shame of my kids still being active and me being in the program because the guilt of me, it was hidden me that I surrounded them with what I grew up with. So anyways.
Tina, you said that you failed a urine on the methadone clinic. So did they pull you off? Did they
instantly?
They just
no
cut you off?
tapering, no nothing. I had been on anxiety medicine and methadone. I went to a methadone clinic, but that was one of the times I was really trying to get clean and they kept boosting up my methadone, but I wanted off it. So I went to my doctor and was honest. So she put me on it and she just put me on a maintenance dose, like the same dose every day. And I had to take a urine test. And I would have good days where I would just do that, but then I would go out and use too. So
do you, because I hear this and I hear two things. I hear that was really wrong of them and that they shouldn't have treated you like that and done that. However, it looks like it led you to.
It saved my life. When I got clean, also at the same day they had shut me off. I had to have an EKG. My doctor was making anyone who was on getting methadone from her have an EKG. Well, I had a problem with my heart. So I got cut off that day and I went through horrible withdrawals for months. Mine wasn't just a couple weeks. I was sick for months. And a lot of it was probably the anxiety and stuff was all hitting me and stuff. But I was physically sick too. Anyways, one side of my heart was barely firing and the other side was firing normal. And if I hadn't have got cut off, I would not be here now. So
interesting.
Yes.
Yeah, that actually brings up an interesting point, and I see where you were going with that, Jess, because harm reductions and today, if you feel your tox screen, we tend to be a little bit more generous and we'll work with you around that because we understand the addiction and it's a brain disease and impulse control. But I had an experience similar where I was on Suboxone for 3 years and I manipulated my Suboxone provider the entire time. And I kept finding ways around my drug screens and doing things like that. And then I got arrested by the DEA. And they cut me off immediately, all of a sudden. And I was on 24 milligrams a day for 3 years. And I was yelling at them. I was like, you can't do this. And they just stopped answering my phone call. But had they not cut me off, you know what I mean? I would have never went through the experiences that I went through. So if it was today, where it's 6-7 years later, they probably wouldn't have cut me off. But I'm really grateful that at the time I wasn't grateful. But today I'm pretty grateful that I had that experience of being cut off,
I'll be honest though, I am grateful that it happened for me, but I wouldn't wish that on anyone to just be dead set cut off. I wouldn't wish that pain on anyone because the physical, I wouldn't wish it on anyone.
I feel like what they should do, and this is how, I think they should, everything should be my way, right? But they should require a taper, a rapid taper. You're off. We're not raising your dose. We're getting you off. Here's, 2 weeks. We're going to taper you down. At least humanely, right?
Yeah.
It's just, that's pretty awful. And people die because of that. Yeah, because people will go out and they'll say, oh, I'm just going to use heroin or fentanyl because of that withdrawal. So I think that's partly why they are a little more lenient today because of all the fentanyl that's killing everyone. But yeah.
Yep.
So you got cut off your methadone and you got placed in a position and you got sober, not because you wanted to, but it was just
I had to. I don't know. I just had to. I didn't have the means to. At that time I was using my kids. They were my dealers. And when I got cut off and I don't know, they were still in their addiction and stuff, which, so I wasn't getting out to get anything, which God works in mysterious ways, because I had to go through the withdrawals. I had to, so I didn't want to.
I remember you were like a week sober, and it's crazy to me that you stayed sober, because I came to your house and I was getting high with my boyfriend at the time, and he overdosed in your bathroom, and you were like a week sober coming off of methadone. You know?
Yes, and that was a scary thing. And I'm, you know, I still pray for that person, and it's good that I seen that, though, because even though I struggle with fear still today, but that put a good fear in me. It just sparked me a little more, and I don't know, I just kept going to meetings.
Do you still go to meetings?
Yes, I still go to meetings. I do Zoom meetings now, but I still go to meetings, and I'm still friends with people in the programs. I think I have 2 friends who are not in the program. That's just for me because I choose it that way. Not that I would ever shun anyone, because I wouldn't. I would help anyone. But as far as hanging out and stuff, I don't go to bars and stuff like that.
So, do you think like you dove all in right away? You got a sponsor, like you started the steps, like
no, I fought it. I fought it for at least 6 months. I was going to the meetings, but because my anxiety was so bad, I was flipping out. I was just going to the meetings to go to meetings, and I wasn't using, so I just kept going. And then finally, I started giving in, and I had met some women, and they had a women's group, and they invited me to that, and I was still defiant, but I went every week, and I challenged everything they said. And some of them loved me being there because I was challenging them, and some of them were getting annoyed with me. But
you were that person that I dread.
I was the same way.
Yeah, but I just stuck it out, and I'm grateful. I am grateful.
You really have made a huge transformation, Mom.
Thank you.
You really have. So you didn't have it easy, because you were kicking methadone. Both of your kids were active at that time. I had been sober for a year, while you and my brother were still active, and then I ended up relapsing and overdosing, actually.
Yeah.
And that wasn't very pretty. And so then things got pretty gnarly for me, and things had been pretty gnarly for my brother for a while. He was homeless, living in a tent for quite some time, so that's not very easy to go through as a mom, coming off of methadone and all these other substances that you've been on your entire life, having what I would imagine, no sense of identity or self, because you'd been consumed by all these other things. And
I didn't know who I was. Even like months and months later, I didn't know, because I didn't know who I was as a child. And I know I'm older to be talking about my childhood, but I didn't know for that whole time what my wants and desires and stuff were. I just didn't know. So
I relate to that a lot.
Yeah.
I feel like as trauma survivors, and we all are here, like as trauma survivors, we just or I guess I should just speak for myself, but you're just in such a fight or flight, like the way that I lived and growing up. And I was always so focused on everything external that I turned to substances at such a young age to self-comfort too. But even when I didn't have substances, I was so focused on going. And even now today, I'm such a busy person. I go, and everyone in my life is busy. It's a trauma response. I'm like, your own inventory, okay? Right? Because you just go to not be in here, because it's so uncomfortable in here. There's so much unprocessed pain.
Yeah. I'm at a point now where I had talked to Jasmine. I am content in my life. I can be by myself, and I'm content with myself. Now, had this been 5 years, 4 years, even 3 years ago, I had to be around someone in the program, because I wasn't content with myself. And it did take working with a sponsor and outside help. And I'm not going to say every day's roses, because I still deal with that fear thing. I've carried it this many years, but it's not like it was. I'm better able to, I have coping skills now. And sometimes they take a little longer for me to be like, hey, you have coping skills, do this.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Yeah, you have like real friends and stability now. And like, Jesus, you've lived at the same place for, I don't even know how long.
7 years. And then
you've been with your husband for how long?
14 years.
Yeah.
And that's another thing. I was addicted to jumping from man to man to man because I was just, I don't know what I was doing, looking for love, but in all the wrong places that weren't right for me. So.
Yes, I love your mom.
I know, isn't she great? She's so good. She really is. She's come so far, and there's just like, there's so many more things to touch on too, you know. My brother, who was like homeless and lived in a tent for, you know, like years, and went through all this self-mutilation, and like when I was a year sober, like me and my mom got to bring him to treatment.
Yeah.
You know, and
the hardest thing with both my children was I'm that mother who would always let her children come back. And still to this day, if they were using, I think I could be stronger now and be like, no, I can't do it. But to this day, I'm still like that mother. But anyways, they're both doing well. I had to let them both go. Like, they lived with me at separate times because I couldn't do it. Like, I couldn't. And now I look at them and they're striving. I mean,
it was the best thing that ever happened to me. You and Dad, like, cutting me out of your lives. And I can't imagine as parents what it's like to experience like your children, like homeless drug addicts, like, because my brother living in a tent, me living in the streets, and God knows what we're doing, and not knowing if you're going to get a phone call that either one of your children are dead, because we very well could have been. But neither one of us would have hit the pain that we needed to hit to change.
Yeah.
You know, and so there are all these different people out there in the world with like, oh, well, tough love, you've got to tough love them and let them go. And then there are other people with like these mindsets like, well, you can't do that, and you know, you've got to love them. And like, I don't know what's right and I don't know what's wrong, and I'm not here to tell anyone if you should tough love someone or if you should love them. I just know my experience is that like, you guys had to cut me out of your life. You had to. However, I know other people, they very well could have died if their parents cut them out.
Yeah.
And I do believe it's on individual cases, because when I don't mean to jump around, but when I was watching my kids, and it was killing me with the guilt. It was killing me. And I kept talking at the women's meeting and with women in the program. And anyways, and my thing was, you get more with love. I'm just going to love them. I'm 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 going to pray. I'm going to love them. And then finally, you know, a woman said, okay, are you doing it your way, or are you doing it your higher power's way? And I felt that at that time I was causing more harm to them and to myself. And I was just, you know, I just felt I finally grew enough, I guess, that I could do the tough love.
It's so hard though. Like, I always tell people, like, love them with boundaries, you know, and protect yourself. But yeah, I mean, just as you guys were talking about this, that's the exact thing I was thinking, because my mom, I mean, there was some times where she kicked me out, but like, it was like if I was making attempts at sobriety and like she didn't know that I was using under her roof, you know, she probably suspected it, but like, she would let me come back. And I often wonder like if I would have lived. And I sometimes wonder if like I would have changed sooner. You know, like, you just don't know. So like, I respect whatever a parent has to do, you know, and like, look at what you've done. Like, you have both your children in recovery now. It's just like such an amazing story.
Yeah, we have a badass family story.
Yes,
like, we came from the trenches, and like, we like came through like really serious traumas that like a lot of people don't survive.
Right.
You know, and like, what hope to offer people. My mom's at my house for the week. She's sitting in the next room over. And my brother's like a country guy. He lives out in the country and he's raising his family, and like I'm like a city girl, I love it. And so like my mom taught me compassion, and like the homeless people come and hang out at my house. Like my mom's out there making friends with them and like giving them food, and like like I got that compassion and love from my mom, and like they know to like come here, and like it's cool, and like my neighbors love them, and like we all just like love them, and like it's just so cool to like have my mom here and sharing that experience with me, and like meeting like all like these people that like I tell her about. I'm like, I can't wait until you meet so and so, and like he comes over and like he loves my mom, and like he tells me she's really polite. I really like her. So what are you gonna do when you go home, Ma?
I'll probably sleep for 2 days. No, no, probably laundry. Go hang out, Nancy, Susie.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
it's been nice having you on the show.
Yes, thank you.
I'm happy to have you on the show. When we get in studio, I would love to have you and Nancy come in studio to shoot. You'll have to meet Nancy Jess, my mom's best friend. She's really good. She's a woman in recovery, long-term.
17 years. Oh, can I share that? Oh.
Yeah. Whatever. No one knows who Nancy is, so
okay.
Yeah. Well, it's been a good show. I mean, like, yes, we got a little bit more time, but we're almost out, Mom. So, like, this show, it goes out, it gets pushed out all over social media, and it goes out to we have a YouTube show, so it gets out there. So people that like their families, loved ones. So you sit in multiple positions here. Because you know what it's like to be a mom of a struggling drug addict. You know what it's like to be a struggling drug addict. You know what it's like to be a trauma survivor. You know what it's like to like not have any hope. So like for anyone watching, if you could leave them with any final words, what would that be?
To come to a spot where you're comfortable doing something that's not your will. Yeah, to reach out and help someone, but to know that it's not about you, it's about them. And to reach out to me if you need help going through that.
How do they reach out to you?
603-387-1897.
Crazy.
I don't mind. I've had plenty of time.
I put my phone number up there once. I got some unsolicited pics, let me tell you. Right, it's been a great show. I love you, ladies. Jess, I can't wait to go to the beach with you Friday.
I know, it's going to be great. Tina, thank you for sharing your story with me. And I feel closer to Jazz just by meeting you. So hopefully I see you again soon.
Thank you. It's nice meeting you.
Yeah.
Bye, everyone. Love you.
Bye.
Love you. Bye, Jazz.
The preceding program was provided by an independent producer solely responsible for its content. The opinions expressed do not necessarily represent the views of this station, its staff, board of directors, or underwriters.